rotation, in fact. So this is the second time these teams will meet each other.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, this means more maps are going to be grayed out because the picks of the first round are no longer available. So you don't have bans now anymore, you just have picks. Pretty cool feature of the double round robin system here that we have in HGC China. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see a lot more of those interesting battlegrounds like Volska Foundry coming in, because a lot of Sky Temple, Dragonshire, Infernal Shrines have already been played, and consequently, with the logics that we just applied, they can no longer be picked.
Exactly. So we always get 4 maps played, 2 maps banned in HGC China by the time we are done. The first first time these two teams played against each other was the very first game of the season, and it was a 2-0 in favor of TheOne. But TeamNut have massively improved since then, but TheOne are still going to start off with a solid Deckard Cain.
Alrighty, not much has changed here, of course, but let's try to, it's so hard to do that, but I can't even find a reason for TeamNut's just, increasing performance. They haven't changed players, they haven't really done much in terms of role swapping or anything. It was just like from one day to the other, they seem to have switched the flip. Switch, there we go.
The flip.
Switch the flip.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I don't know what the success story here is, what the secret ingredient is that they had in their breakfast.
Me neither, but we're gonna find out if it is a secret ingredient that has lasted long enough for them to take down TheOne, as TheOne already have a very scary opening. But TeamNut, their opening is nothing to sniff at. A white main Yorel, there is a Cassia ban, trying to remove one of those big counters to the Reyna here, so very sensible. So instead, we're seeing the Thrall, decent poke damage, could be effective here, and of course fantastic on the objective point.
Yeah, white main, very dangerous when it comes to keeping people alive here, and people or heroes who already have some innate self-sustain, like that Yorel, for example, like that Thrall, they're going to benefit from that tankiness even more, because they're going to be even harder to kill. Interior, speaking of sustain and keeping people alive, add some righteousness to it.
That is a very melee-heavy composition. They're hiding their range damage dealer to react to whatever TheOne pick here. Very sensible. So now, with Reyna on the board, Garrosh as a main tank, they need a solo laner and a second damage dealer. So we're going to be looking at likely a Leoric or Malthael, and Phoenix as their range damage dealer. So sticking with the classic combo, this means that they can combine the attacks from Ace in the Hole and from Phoenix's trait, along with the Cold Hands, for example, from Malthael, and of course Deckard Cubes.
And this time, Malthael is back in his classic, in his traditional role. Instead of being the roamer. Oh, TeamNut, are they doing it again?
Interesting. It wasn't them who did it last time.
Oh, was it the A-team who did it?
RPG or the A-team? I'm checking now. No, because TeamNut last time when they played the A-team, they brought out the weird, Abatha Varian composition.
Oh, but I think it was Olele who actually played the Zul'jin, but I could be wrong there. So it must have been the A-team.
I'll search back through. It wasn't the A-team. It wasn't in that series. There was no Zul'jin in that series at all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Zul'jin is back in the fight, one, and we're going to see how much value they can get from this. I mean, there's a lot of protection. It is almost a pseudo double support composition with that Tyrael adding shields. Then we have, of course, Yorel, also super tanky. Let's see if they can work with that. And also... Oh, you got it?
It was the A-team on Sky Temple versus CE.
Was it Olele who played it?
Probably.
Oh, it doesn't show you? Oh, okay. I thought you had the name.
Not on this website, sorry. It was just the easiest one to see the previous matches.
Right.
Either way, when it comes to playing against TheOne, TeamNut decide that what they need is an axe. Because if you cut a 1 in half, it becomes 2, and therefore they're not TheOne anymore.
Can you imagine that? TheOne sounds so much cooler than the 2.
Yeah, but for multiple reasons. But yeah, we're heading in, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 1 here. A white main Zul'jin comp. There is so much protection for this Zul'jin. This could work out. We're going to find out, as on the left-hand side, it is TeamNut. Pulling out an incredibly strange combo, Crash Lightning style coming in for them as well. It's Mercy, Atui, Malthael, Nightmare, and Dia.
And facing them is Hugo, Keshi, Meng, ZJZ, and Huoho, and together they form TheOne. Once again, split screen techniques on point. Almost going for the ideal symmetry here.
Yeah, unfortunately the tiles on the floor ever so slightly ruin it, but it is still looks ridiculously cool. So, level 1 times, we already mentioned Crash Lightning, perfect for the objective here. Still very hard to stack, they need to be careful, but they have enough sustain with this composition that it might work out, including that no mana cost heal with that Clemency, which is actually outside of fight and on this objective, but when the enemy goes back to Fountain, a fantastic little trick here.
Yeah, I mean, as good as White Min is, she's still not as great when it comes to, you know, out of combat sustain. So in that department, she still loses to a Decker Kane, for example, or Malfurion, for example. However, if you go for Clemency, then you're actually going to have an additional tool to keep people alive or to keep them sustained while not in a team fight. So that is certainly a nice adaptation here. You see Meng actually in trouble, taking a little bit of damage here, but also well calculated because CJZ was right next to him.
You can see actually a little bit of an XP advantage coming in for TheOne. That was because they used Garrosh to toss Tyrael out of the lane for a second when he was rotating, so he actually got denied a couple of minions worth of experience. So very cool to see there, but it's not a huge amount. TeamNut will be able to recover that, or at least stay pretty close as they wait for the minion waves to run to them. Malthael going to start the mercenary camp for his team. We're going to see the Orc Troll combo, taking it on the other side with Thrall and Zul'jin finishing that off.
All right, Tetcher. Now, last time we saw Olele, I think it was on the 18 play Zul'jin, we did see, it was Testingo, right? It was normal Testingo.
It was Testingo.
Yeah.
This is correct. We're starting with Bone Slicer, so already the build is currently identical. Level 4, he went for the Armani Hide as opposed to the Voodoo Shuffle or the Troll's Blood. So we'll see if that ends up being the same again as level 4 is approaching for both teams. As the regen, the Biotic Emitter being fought over here in a 3 versus 5. TeamNut should absolutely back up here. Mercy getting bodied here. They should not have got in there.
Yeah, especially not without Irel, for example, because TheOne had already been grouping up and rallying with a 5-man unit. So even if that fight had prolonged and, you know, extended a little bit, I think TheOne would have come out ahead here as well. And that is just the value of Garrosh. Sometimes you just toss someone away who tries to contest one of those objectives. The ideal way for Tyrael to play that would have actually been to throw down the Eldrin's Might. And when he was tossed away shortly after, he would use the Angelic Flash to basically teleport back in there. But that is super hard to execute, especially, you know, in the heat of the moment when you really need to take care of everyone else around you as well.
Voodoo Shuffle coming in for Zul'jin as we see a half-level lead coming in for TheOne. We're also seeing that Stacking Wolf coming in for the Thrall here, getting in that Wolf Pack.
All right, up to this point, nothing drastic really has happened up to this point. So TheOne, though, starting to extend their lead just ever so slowly, ever so slightly. They also are currently occupying the catcher platform. Huoho with that healing pulse. Needs to be careful, though, if he ended up falling or if he ended up going super low so that he would have to waste it. That would be a little bit of a setback here.
Thrall gonna get some extra stacks here. As a 2, he needs to be careful. He's eating a lot of ground breakers. Mercy has now arrived, which means everyone is here except for Thrall on both teams. We see Zul'jin there not burning a Voodoo Shuffle yet, holds it until it is needed. Once again, it removes slows and roots, both of the 2 types of CC that Deckard Cain does have available.
And look at the soaking in the meantime. I mean, TheOne, they're buying so much time here in the top lane, in the bottom lane. They had been soaking while the TeamNut was desperately trying to make something happen here on the platform. And as a result, you can see how the experience is skyrocketing ahead now in favor of TheOne. Great damage coming in by Meng as well. TeamNut, they're going to have to use that healing fountain. And when heroes don't have that ready anymore, they're probably going to have to give that up. Yep. Just like that.
Yep, they back up, they head into lanes, they soak experience because they are now just over half a level behind. As we see it, TheOne with the first protector of the game and an incredibly quick groundbreaker finished up by Huoho here.
Oh boy.
So he can now begin to move in.
Yeah, that has to be a new record, right? 4 minutes and 20 seconds into it. Perfect timing. Let's see. I would have actually loved to see a comparison there because sometimes our production team actually shows you the other
might see that
completionists.
We see them pulling back. Tui dropping very low, and as such, this is going to be the first fort of the game picked up by the One, who are looking to just snowball their lead. Nightmare sitting on that laser needs to be way more careful with that, as it does a lot of damage.
All right. Hugo being chased down by two enemy members at the same time can stay alive here, even dropping down the turret so he won't pass it over to the enemies.
And that's going to be a double kill, a 2-for-1. That was just too greedy. They took too long to kill him. And as such, that's going to be a fort, a double kill, and half another fort in exchange for a single kill.
I mean, it's great and all to get a kill on Hugo. Must feel very satisfying because he's such an outstanding player and usually hard to kill in the first place. But you do not trade 2 kills for that. You do not lose that much momentum now. And they're probably even going to lose the middle fort because of that, because 2 members were missing. Hello, White Mane. How's it going? They're probably going to make her die.
Yeah, they try to heal up. The Banshee will fall here, but they're unable to capitalize on it. They get a nice little root, but that's all. And this is just snowballing out of control here for the One. With level 10, almost level 11, TeamNut have only just started on their way through level 9. Malthael just pulls back on this Thrall, doesn't want to get caught out. And this early game aggression that usually wins TeamNut games and has put them in such good stead against other teams is just not visible against the One.
And I think they were the ones who also chose that battleground, so they must have had something prepared for this. Up to this point, we failed to see it yet. Maybe they're just hoping for the Zul'jin to come online later after level 10 and acquiring the Tastingo, so we can actually play a little more recklessly than otherwise. But yeah, we see a classic auto-attack build coming in with Ferocity as well, increasing the attack speed bonus of Berserker by 40%. So no ability damage Zul'jin, no guillotines, very likely.
It is important that the One actually do win this early game, because these level 10s coming in now for TeamNut are incredibly scary and deadly. So they have to be able to, they had to be this far ahead. They would prefer, I suppose, to be at level 13 at this point, but they haven't been able to capitalize that much. But they are ahead enough. The TeamNut are looking a little bit less willing to fight.
Now, there is a certain misplay potential coming in from TeamNut with that Scarlet Aegis and the Sanctification, right? If Sanctification goes down and the Aegis goes on top of it, then the targets will lose that duration while actually inside the Sanctification, right? Because they're invulnerable in the first place.
Mercy eats a lot of damage, but he's able to trade a bit off as well. Probably wants to back up and do some regen. No, yep, regen and Clemency combined together. Everyone's rotated down here, but all that's really resulted in is the One pulling back and just grabbing their own turret.
All right, Mercy is desperately trying to get in some damage at least on that Zul'jin, but Raynor, it just really goes to show how superior Raynor is in many aspects at the moment, right? He's got better tankiness, better survivability, he's got longer range for the most part. Hold that thought though, Huohuo in trouble, needs to use the healing pulse and he does so.
Biology Committer is down, Salvo comes out as well, but everyone tanks through it thanks to the Aegis. They're still chasing down Huohuo or Keshi, whichever one they can get to. Another great groundbreaker though. And that was definitely the best fight they've had so far, but they're unable to get anything from it, although Thrall does finish his wolf pack.
Yeah, wolf pack now completed. We're pretty cool. They were actually standing all in a single file line there, so really good to see. Now, mana cost decreased, and the cooldown lowered for Thrall on his Feral Spirit. Means some more lockdown, more ganking potential.
Bot lane being pushed in, going to try and grab themselves some XP because the One, well, they have level 13 and TeamNut don't even have level 12 yet. They're actually going to push all the way through this. Looks like they might just trade out a Protector again, but in the meantime, the One responding in the perfect way. They decide to push in top lane.
And, I mean, experience-wise, this is a fine trade for TeamNut because they really, really need that level 13. But structural-wise and, you know, overall map progress-wise, this is a terrible trade. Not only are they going to lose this tower line, they're also going to take some damage onto the keep. And guess where that Protector is going to spawn from, Tetcher? It'll be the top lane. So this could very well just be the first keep of the game if the One plays this smart.
Well, they still have only 66% on the objective, now 70, so they're going to try and actually move up here. Once again, pre-13, they tried to like bait Phoenix into staying too long and killing him, but the teleport was just too good. And TeamNut, once again, moving out, trying to find level 13 somewhere as the Protector is spawned.
In my opinion, TeamNut could have gone for that fight here over the Mercenaries, despite being a talent down, because I think they have exceptional team fighting in those narrow choke points, right? With that Sanctification.
Protector would have shown up and they'd die.
Yeah. All right, so now they need to deal some damage preemptively onto that Protector. Otherwise, it's going to take that key. 100%.
Nice little Voodoo Shuffle coming in from Mercy, who's eating a lot of damage. Just drop the turret, man. As we see a Tui, he's going to die here. Gets pulled in. Salvo will land point blank. He drops the Aegis on just himself and will live. A Tui turns around. Mercy drops huge damage. Drops a perfect Tazdingo as well to save himself from the Protector. As Dia comes in from behind, but they can't kill anyone. After all of those really solid moves, they still don't get anyone. Scarlet Aegis comes in. Not Scarlet Aegis, sorry. Undefender comes in, and Dia finally is finished off by Keshi and the Protector.
Zul'jin still hasn't dropped that turret, Mon. He really needs to drop it right now. Don't give it over to the enemy team. Actually, that turret could have maybe helped even defend that keep a little more. So yeah.
Denied. I'm so sorry. That's gotta feel bad.
And there's the turret. He didn't use it.
Oh man, turret picked up, using the Protector, the body block to steal that away. Keep down, kill acquired. Oh man, that's gotta feel bad. Like, that was not his fault, that was just bad luck. Yeah. That was so close.
That was really well done by TheOne. And just once again, it was, I don't know, a millimeter, centimeter. He almost made it to the saving comfort zone of the Hall of the Storms, but yeah. Still, the turret has been used, which means more and more item for TheOne. They took that keep here, and I think it all came down to just some heavy misplays by TeamNut. If they hadn't just given up this tower line before, right, if they hadn't given in some free keep damage, maybe they could have actually defended this still.
Maybe. For now, though, they have level 13 at least. As TheOne get level 16, we have that Eye of Zul'jin, that extra movement speed, up to 30% for Zul'jin, so that could be really effective at allowing them to play. Turret gets taken and used by TheOne, so they use it to finish off the final remaining fort. There's still 2 keeps, though.
Yeah, I think they also just used it so they would have one person to pick up future ones, because they were all fully stacked right now. They've got 2 healing pulses, and everyone else is carrying at least one turret, with the exception of Huohuo.
Yeah, so, well, they still have their own Merc camp up, so they can just go get that. So, right now, they're pushing in bot lane with just no reasoning behind it, just because they can, and there's nothing else to do except get that turret, but because it's in such a safe position, they'd rather do this.
Yeah, I mean, pick your poison, right? Pick your healing pulse. This is definitely going to be a siege that TheOne wants to take. Only Malthael is currently missing. Only Hugo trying to go for that level 20. I think they're already gearing up in that regard. He is on a pale horse, though, so he will be there just in time, I believe.
He's on the way. Dia will spot him, and those two will duel each other a little bit in this lane. As that's anti-heal and root Voodoo Shuffle as Mercy pulls forward. Looks like they want to maybe make a play again, but they don't have 16. They're just going to force TheOne back.
Yeah, Mercy needs to be very careful. They didn't even check that bush. They still had some prediction here, maybe, that someone from TheOne would have been hiding in there all along. But yeah, catapults are pushing in here. Very dangerous situation for TeamNut. If they lose those core shields preemptively, that would be very bad indeed. Now, good news for TeamNut, though. The next Protector is going to spawn from the bottom. So they still have a pretty healthy keep there just in case. But with 16, this is their last window, right? This is their last opportunity to make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the lane that they have taken down a fort in, so if they do this, they can potentially rush through and get a keep of their own.
Yep.
The chance is low, but the fact is, if there's any set of heroics that can turn a fight, Sank is definitely one of them. Tazdingo, Zul'jin, if he gets his freedom, is definitely one of them, and that Earthquake to prevent escapes. Honestly, I look at this and I say, this comp should work by the Nut. They were just so far behind before it even came online. Now they just need to not die in advance, move forward, and see if they can force a full team fight. But the longer this takes, the worse it's going to be, because there's a Merc camp pushing in the top lane.
Whoa, Keshi here playing with fire on TheOne. If that Phoenix gets caught and killed, that all of a sudden is a lot of momentum going for TeamNut. All right. Looks like TeamNut is posturing up here near the objective. But look at top lane Tetra. There's a mercenary camp pushing. If TheOne decides to just go for structures instead, TeamNut is going to have to retreat sooner or later.
Yeah, they have to make something happen. This is TeamNut's time to shine. Voodoo Shuffle having to be used as Zul'jin was trying to bait it, but didn't make it instead. Shields from Tyrael come in. It's the issue with this white main build. Not a huge amount of AoE healing at this stage. Drop some healing onto Dia, but they need to do some damage to get that healing into effect, into the backline. Earthquake, and Thrall is absolutely doomed as they begin to try and turn it around instead, but everyone in the backline is dying. There's the Aegis. They're actually going to kill off Garrosh. There's the sack for the turnaround, but that's still a 1-for-1, and they still have not got great positioning. Look at the health bars right now as Dia is in the backline. They still don't have Tazdingo anymore. It's been used. Salvo in the corner, and this is just shooting fish in a barrel.
Quite literally here. Jimmy going fishing here. Getting one kill after the other. 2 for Phoenix, actually split between Terran and Protoss evenly. But yeah, this is basically lights out here right now. 3 catapults, sorry, and 3 mercenaries each hammering on that court. That's going to be a clean winning game. I don't think TheOne even need to approach this. Cooldowns up.
They could just...
Thrall's going to come back.
Thrall will actually spawn and that will clear it. I mean, there is the tiniest chance that TeamNut can actually defend this, but it's not likely. As we see that keep go down, which means it's going to be a keepless protector push. This is looking like a game, Kendrick.
As EJ said, he's just chilling here. Grandpa just tanking that big old keep like it was a piece of cake. So yeah, with that protector is going to be game over. Sorry to be the party pooper here, but no one in their right mind actually expects TeamNut to be able to hold this. They're severely outgunned. They're heavily outleveled as well. The core is only now restoring some of the shields, and they would have to pull out the defense of the century here if they wanted to win this.
It would be incredible, and we can believe Yarel's not here for this. He's holding Garrosh. That's at least 1 less damage dealer, but with most of the heroics already down, the core already taking damage. Here comes the salvo, and the protector stands tall. That's gonna be game, and game number 1 goes over to TheOne.
All right, TheOne seems to have cracked the defenses of TeamNut here. The Zul'jin came in as a surprise, but TheOne, look at Keshi on the left-hand side, not impressed. Just another day in the